Hello and welcome back to my channel where we make delicious food without spending a lot of money. Today I'm bringing you the grandeur of aristocratic cuisine. Food that used to be only for the elite is now a perfect summer option for those on an extreme budget. Prepare to indulge in a regal sandwich experience because today we're exploring the art of making delightful English tea sandwiches. Who says extravagant meals are only for the elite? I'll also be making a favorite sandwich of famed American chef and restaurateur James Beard, which costs less than $1 per sandwich, and I'm also making a delicate sandwich from the famous French chef Jacques Pepin. When it comes to tea sandwiches, it's all about balance and flavor. First things first, let's talk about bread. Instead of going for an expensive artisan loaf, opt for a budget-friendly option like white bread. This type of bread actually works better because it's not as thick and it'll help balance the ingredients. Now let's get creative with fillings. From classic cucumber and cream cheese to ham sandwiches with stone ground mustard, we'll explore a range of options that won't empty your wallet. I'll even throw in some secret ingredients and flavor combinations to take your sandwiches to the next level. Presentation is key. I'll share simple cutting techniques that'll make your tea sandwiches look as if they came straight from a high-end tea party. Whether you prefer delicate triangles or fancy shapes, I've got you covered. So grab your favorite tea and join me on this budget-friendly tea sandwich adventure. Together, we'll prove that deliciousness doesn't have to cost a fortune. Don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any of our future cooking videos. I'm planning to make a variety of sandwiches. Here are some of the ingredients that I'm going to get started with today. I have a spreadable butter. This one has olive oil and sea salt. I've got cream cheese, bread, ham, mayo with olive oil. I've got radishes. I've got cucumbers. I have lemon, a small white onion. I also have quite a few different herbs. I have mint, chives, dill, and some parsley. I stopped by my local market to pick these up and I got these for about 30 cents each. I was really excited that they had a great deal. So I'm just going to try all of those and I've got some recipes that call for each kind of herb. I also have this stone ground mustard that I'll be using for the little ham sandwiches. I have a few other ingredients, but I'll show those later in the video. If you don't have fresh herbs, obviously you can use dried herbs as well. For my first recipe, I want to make a sandwich that I read was a favorite of the Queen, and it has white bread, butter, cucumbers, and mint. I love mint, and these sandwiches sound so refreshing for the hot weather. Typically, they cut off the crust of the bread for English sandwiches, so I'm going to do that too, and I'll be using this bread to make croutons for my salads. Okay, let's try this one. It has a very delicate and light taste to it, but it's refreshing, especially with the mint. I'm definitely with the Queen on this one. The addition of the mint is nice. I like the crunch that the cucumber has. I did a lot of research on these tea sandwiches and I didn't realize that there would be so many options. Some people completely peel their cucumbers. I left a little bit of the green on it to give it some added crunch. And also some people add salt to their cucumbers in advance and then drain them. But I guess it really depends on whether you're going to be serving it right away or not. I plan to eat it right away, so I didn't do that step. The butter added a bit of richness to this, which is a nice balance to the cucumber. But I'm looking forward to trying this with cream cheese or mayo. I might like that a little bit better. My next sandwich comes from James Beard, the famous American chef and culinary instructor. You guys have probably heard of the James Beard Awards. Well, today I'm making his onion sandwich. This can be made into a regular sandwich size or little hors d'oeuvre sizes, and I have to admit I'm not looking forward to trying this because I think the onion will be overpowering. But I did see a video where Jack Pepin said that his wife loved this sandwich as well, so I figured I might as well try this, and this is super budget friendly. The recipe didn't call for a sweet onion, it just said a white onion and thinly sliced. So I'm going to do my best to make as thin a slices as possible. And then we're just going to put this on a sandwich with some mayo. James Beard made his onion sandwich with parsley, but some people prefer it with chives. I'll make one with parsley, and then I'll make a smaller hors d'oeuvre style one with chives. This mold that I got is the perfect size for some round sandwiches. If you have a glass, you can use that as an indentation and then use a sharp knife to finish cutting it out. Not only have I never had an onion sandwich before, but aside from a mozzarella basil sandwich, I've never had a sandwich with herbs like this before. I expected this to have a strong onion flavor, but it doesn't. Something about the mayonnaise and how thin the onion is, it actually goes together well, and the parsley here gives it some more interest. This is a really interesting sandwich. It's not something I think I would necessarily want to eat again, but I could see that if I grew up on this, how I could gain a fondness for this. I would definitely serve this at a party, appetizer style, because I do love the story behind this and the fact that most people probably haven't had this before. So I think it would be a great conversation starter, and I'm thinking of an ingredient that I might like better here, but I'll show you that later in the video. And I'm sure that some of you are already thinking along the same lines that I am. But I do like the fact that onion sandwiches could be an option for those that are looking to eat on a very tight budget. I got a small white onion last week and it was only about 30 cents, so I can't really imagine anything cheaper than that. It would be fun to try this with a sweet onion like a Walla Walla or a Vidalia onion. And I keep forgetting to salt the onion, so I had to open this one back up and salt it again. And you could always make an onion sandwich and forgo the herbs and it would still be great. I'll set this aside to try for later. I learned about my next recipe from the French chef Jack Pepin. He made a radish sandwich on buttered bread that looks very similar to the delicatessen sandwiches, but I also learned that the French like to serve radish sandwiches open-faced on baguette bread. They slice the radish in thin layers. The French learned that the best way to cut the heat of the radishes is to serve it with butter and sprinkle it with salt. I'm always amazed when I read about the history of these recipes because we're all so very connected through food. I discovered that many families in the Depression era ate radish sandwiches here in the US due to their affordability. I salted the radishes and buttered the other side of the bread. I'm making my sandwich exactly the way the French chef did, so I'm cutting the end of my bread after, but I actually think for budget conscious people, it's better to cut it off beforehand or not trim it at all. Otherwise, you get the butter on there and you're not able to save the bread crust for later. For this one, I'm cutting in mini triangles and I'm just planning to roll this in parsley the way that he did, and then I'm going to try some of these without any of the herbs on there at all, and at the end of this video I'm hoping I'll get a good idea of what I like the best and also provide you guys with some options. I also did an open-faced version that I think presentation-wise was my favorite. I thought this was beautiful and I would absolutely serve this at a party. The nice thing about this is you could customize this with some goat cheese or mayo. A lot of my viewers are lactose intolerant, so I like the fact that mayo can easily be substituted. Also, you could use a low-carb bread to make this work for my viewers that are eating a low-carb diet. For my next sandwich, I'm making a cream cheese herb mixture. I'm starting with some cream cheese and I'm going to squeeze a small amount of lemon juice in there because I'm not making a large quantity, just a small amount. But I'll put a recipe for you in the description area. And then I'm going to add some mayo to loosen it up a bit and give it a creamier texture. I left my cream cheese out for a while, but it's not very soft, so I have to work it a bit to get it to the right consistency. And then I'm going to add my herbs in. And for the herbs, I'm going to chop up some dill. I don't use dill very often, so I'm excited to be using it today. I love the fresh scent it has. I wish you guys could smell this. It smells amazing. I'm also going to add in some chives, and then this will be ready to go. I'm going to try this on a Ritz cracker. Wow, this is delicious. I think this is some of the best cream cheese I've ever had. And I've had a lot of different flavored cream cheeses before, but wow, it is so much better when you make it yourself with fresh herbs. This will be great on a sandwich, but there are so many different ways you could use this. I would love this on a bagel sandwich, which I do make frequently. However, I don't usually make my own cream cheese. This would definitely elevate any sandwich. You could also serve this on crackers with some vegetables, or you could top it with some salmon, or tuna would actually be a very inexpensive option as well. I would just add the little pieces of drained chunk tuna on top. The spicy tuna might be nice against the creaminess and freshness of that spread, and this would make a nice addition to any cheese board. I think what you're hearing me say is that this is a recipe that I think you should hold on to. Here are some different varieties of finger sandwiches, and these all have vegetables in them. I sampled these and I wanted to see how I like them best, and I used some barbecue chips as a palate cleanser. I've already tried the cucumber sandwiches with the butter, and here I tried it with that delicious herb spread that had the dill and the chives in it. This is definitely my favorite. I think I've probably stacked this cucumber a little higher than I should have. I think the point of these English sandwiches is the delicate balance of flavors, so not any one ingredient stands out too much. I'm not going to spend too much time showing myself trying these. I'm just going to say that adding herbs to sandwiches is really nice. And I would have thought that dressing an onion sandwich with chives would be too much onion together, but actually those go really nice together. And also in terms of the radish sandwiches, I think I like the open-faced sandwich better, and I definitely want to try those on a chewy baguette sometime. Okay, now let's get into some other sandwiches. Another popular English tea sandwich is made with ham and mustard. I found these little packs of ham for 80 cents, and these are actually going to work perfect for the sandwiches because it requires a small amount of the ham. One of the recipes that I found called for butter on one side and a honey mustard on the other, but I'm using mayo here, and I'm just going to use a regular stone ground mustard. I use my little molds to cut the ham into these fun round shapes, and then I'm going to add a few of the pieces. I'm probably adding too much here, but I think that this is about how it's supposed to be. This is definitely not what we're going for. I also like these molds because if you wanted to, you could use these to make some fun kids' lunches. And there are so many ways to use the crumbs. You could use them in a casserole, you could use them in croutons, you could use them to make a panzanella bread salad. So many different ways. I decided to add a piece of cheese to this because I'm going to give this to my son later. Here are the ingredients for one of my favorite summer sandwiches. It's so simple. It's just a tomato sandwich, but it's so good. Look at how beautiful they are. And it's definitely a treat for me to buy these types of tomatoes because I'm usually buying Roma tomatoes. The nice thing about summer is these are always on sale. So this is definitely a treat. I had 2 of these sandwiches and they were so good. I have half of the tomato left over and I can't wait to have another one. For me, this is a perfect summer sandwich. I also like this sometimes with a slice of cheddar, and I was also wondering how this would be with a slice of the sweet onion. I had a piece of basil in my fridge, so I thought I would try it with that, and it was really good and fresh tasting. However, I do think I just like the simplicity of the flavor of it with just nothing but the tomatoes. That was really good. I was trying to think, if I was an American tea sandwich, what would I be? And this is what I came up with. It's filled with avocado and rolled in some everything but the bagel seasoning. It's funny because eating it like this, it had a much more delicate feel to it, and it was delicious. I wanted to show you guys this lemon zester that I talked about in the last video. I ordered this because I wanted the long strings of zest, and the zester I have doesn't work like that. It just makes the small shavings. I think that normally the tea sandwiches are just cream cheese and strawberry, but I thought the lemon would add a nice touch, and I already had a lemon in the fridge. I also found a recipe where they added honey to it, and I was actually out of regular bread when I made this, so I used some of the Japanese style bread that I had, and it made a much bigger piece, so I just ended up cutting it into 3 pieces. I picked up the strawberries for 98 cents recently, and I can usually get a pretty good deal on these this time of year, so I think these are a great budget option. And then I also made what's called a jam penny sandwich, and they are called that because they're made in the size of an English penny. And I read that this was another sandwich that the Queen loved. It has butter on one side and some raspberry jam on the other. These strawberry sandwiches were so good. I didn't know I would like that with the honey on there, but it was so good. And I also gave this to somebody else in my family, and they also agreed. I plated a peanut butter and banana sandwich, but that was a mistake because everything else was so fresh tasting, but it tasted heavy. And the reason I did this video was because I thought these sandwiches would be great low-cost options that would be refreshing in the summer heat. There were 2 additional tea sandwiches that I didn't show, and those are your typical egg sandwiches. And then also there's a chicken sandwich that has chutney, curry, and a little bit of yogurt with it. So those are also options for you. I also wanted to mention that I used my dill cream cheese on some of the leftover radishes, and it was so good like that. These were amazing. The cream cheese mitigates the heat of the radish, and it's just like a flavor explosion in your mouth. They were so good. I would definitely serve those at a big family get-together or a picnic. My son was giving me a bit of a hard time about these tiny sandwiches and cutting the crust off, but he told me later how much he loved this ham and mustard sandwich. So I think the lesson here is that more is not always better, and there are definitely some low-cost options to be found in these sandwiches. Let me know if you have a favorite simple sandwich that you enjoy. That's it, guys. I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.